Education Labor Committee member Representative Jahana Hayes from the great state of Connecticut joins us now. Good morning, Representative.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
I hope you don't mind my playing Nancy Pelosi name dropping you right before. I just want to make myself look better. That's what that's all about. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I just say, because it's your first time, so people know you are not only the first African-American woman, the first African-American Democrat to ever represent the state of Connecticut in Congress. I did not know that. But and also, here's the other thing I love. You were not just a teacher. You were Connecticut Teacher of the Year and National Teacher of the Year. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I could not be more excited to talk to you this morning. Thanks for taking time for us.
Excited to be here, and all those things are true.
That FBI background check went well on you. But, can I let's start. We're going to get to the baby formula, but I just wanted to say this has been an ongoing topic, hasn't it, ever since the Virginia race and Glenn Youngkin winning and Republicans trying to say they're the party of parents. And once again, I feel like they're the party of trying to pit people against each other, and in that case, parents against teachers. I just have to ask you, as someone that was such a great teacher, what your feeling is on that and how we take that issue back.
It's heartbreaking to hear some of the conversations surrounding teachers and education that are playing out in this country. When the pandemic shut schools down, I can tell you that teachers wanted to be back in front of students more than anything. And now those same teachers need support of parents and communities. So I just don't understand it, as I'm reading the headlines and teachers are being blamed for closing schools, for raising safety concerns, not being trusted to teach in the way that they've always done. Teaching is a profession, and the people who choose this profession go into it with the interest of children and young people and society in mind. And that's a really hard one for me. I talk to many of my friends who still teach, who are thinking about leaving the profession. I talk to young people who are questioning their decision to enter the profession. And this is not the road we want to go down. So much of my work in Congress centers on supporting those teachers in the classroom, making sure they have the resources so that they are the best they can be for kids, because that's what it's all about.
You've been quoted.
It's a really hard one.
Yeah, you've been quoted previously as saying education saved your life. And I think it's just such a shame that we've turned this, when I hear these critical race theories and don't say gay bills, I'm like, okay, so is this all about us teaching that we have a history of racism in this country and that's bad and gay people exist? Is that what all of this is about? And we've lost sight of how much we valued teachers, as you say, when COVID started and parents had to homeschool. Did they not see how tough it is?
I can tell you just really quickly, when I say education saved my life, I absolutely mean it. I mean, I grew up in public housing, and many of the people that I grew up with are dead, in jail, not doing well, and just had some really tragic life circumstances. So education is our best chance with our young people, so that they have a chance to at least succeed, to have a fighting chance. I taught African American history. I taught U.S. history. At 15 years, I was in the classroom teaching history. And what I can tell you is that when we talked about these darkest points in our history, it encouraged and inspired my students. It didn't make them angry. Letting our kids understand the truth that is our country and making them a part of the solution, obligating them of their responsibility. I have legislation actually that we're marking up today on trauma-informed practices. These kids need to be supported in schools through all of the challenges that they're facing in school and out of school. And it is a dangerous road to go down if we start to split hairs on these issues. We should all be invested in educating young people, letting them go into the world so that they can be contributors in society.
Yeah. Well, and doesn't it seem, Representative, in the wake of this Buffalo tragedy, that we should be more concerned about kids being groomed to be racist? Shouldn't we? I mean, as I was pointing out, this guy's 18. He was 15 when he heard the President of the United States say there's very fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. I mean, go ahead.
I just think extremism is a dangerous problem no matter where it comes from. It's something that we have to not only confront but educate people on and address as we see it. I think part of the problem is that people are very uncomfortable having some of these critical conversations that are necessary right now so that we can, wipe out hate. We can address it. We can have these conversations in a way that is real and authentic. To ignore them does not make them go away. It just makes them fester under the surface. And we should all be paying attention because we're seeing an uptick in violence. I think I heard this morning there's been over 200 mass shootings already this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not a problem that we can ignore. It would be to our peril to ignore these things. So our schools, our communities, our faith-based leaders, our mental health professionals, everybody should be coming together to have a multi-layered intersectional conversation on these topics and really say, how could we be part of the solution?
Yes.
But ignoring it is not the answer.
And can I just say you're a perfect example of that? I'm sorry, but once again, Republicans are race baiting and fear mongering on this baby formula issue, aren't they? They're, Elise Stefanik, your colleague, talking about, sending baby formula to the border, which, it would be illegal to starve babies that are in our custody in detention. You, on the other hand, this is the difference in the parties. You, on the other hand, have a bill as a member of the Education and Labor Committee. You've introduced Access to Baby Formula Act, legislation to help improve access to infant formula for vulnerable families during this shortage. Talk to us about your bill.
My bill, yes, the Access to Baby Formula Act, which we will vote on the floor today, would expand the WIC program to include waivers. Right now, we're in this situation partly because, Abbott shut down their manufacturing facility, but I don't think what people don't understand is that Abbott almost has the exclusive contract for WIC beneficiaries. They, about 43% of our babies get milk through the WIC program. These 4 companies control 89% of formula that goes out into the country. So when there was a shortage, they couldn't simply buy another brand of formula.
Right.
So my bill would allow for us to have automatic waivers in place if there is any kind of emergency, a recall, a supply chain shortage. It would also require there to be communication and coordination between the Secretary of Agriculture and the Secretary of Health and Human Services at the moment where we know that there's an issue or suspect that there's an issue, so that we can shift our resources to make sure that these families, which are our most vulnerable families, these are the babies. When I talk to people in my district, I had parents and grandparents who were taking the day off driving around to places looking for formula. But we also have a population of people who don't have the ability to do that. So if they take a day off of work, they're fired, who don't have a car to drive from place to place. And I know what that is. I participated in the WIC program as a young mother. Many of my friends, many of my family members, so I know how critical it is at that stage in life to make sure babies have access to their only form of nutrition.
Right.
I don't really understand my Republican colleagues because just last week they are championing, that women should have babies and should be forced to carry babies to term, yet time after time when given the opportunity to support women and families or, babies or children, adolescents, they, fail in that responsibility. Right now, I think it is our role to not only have a long-term plan, which I think my colleague from Connecticut, Rosa DeLaura's appropriation bill does, a short-term plan which will get the supply chain open, but a long-term plan to make sure that this never happens again. And if we think it will happen, we have a backup plan and we can shift resources so that the people who are hurt the most, the people who have nowhere else to go would have access to healthy, nutritious meals.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, but particularly this close to the midterms, I just feel like, unfortunately, you're working with another party that has no interest in solving any problems. All they have an interest in is playing politics with every issue, and whatever makes Biden look bad or Democrats look bad, they're actively rooting for. How do you work with that every day?
first of all, that's unconscionable. Even the idea last week when I saw the cries about milk going to babies at the border or in detention facilities.
Right.
As a mother, what we should be doing is saying we want all babies to have access to baby formula. We want all babies to have food, not say, I don't know how you fix your lips to say, those babies don't deserve it, but these babies do. As far as my colleagues go, one of the things I realized really quickly, I was a teacher. I came to Congress right from the classroom, worked for the Waterbury Public School System the day before I got sworn into Congress. You have to know who you are before you come here. And I knew who I was before I came here, and I knew who the people at home that I represent are, and I know that they're counting on me every day to be their voice and to get it right. So all I can do is, not get caught up in what my colleagues are doing, but work twice as hard to make sure that we are putting forth legislation and voting on bills and, helping people.
Yeah.